Jamar.
What's going on YouTube?
Washington.
This is boy Jamar here once again. Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is your boy Jamar here once again, and we're here to review last night's episode of wrong show. Real Housewives of Atlanta. Woo. It's been a long night, y'all. So why did I first turn on the episode, right? We first start the shit, and Phaedra and Porsha are basically douching. They're at this, what's they call the place? The word escapes me right now, but it's the specialists who deal with, cleansing of the colonoscopy. Is somewhere in that area. I don't know if it's colonoscopy. I know that's the procedure, but I don't think that's quite it. But somewhere along those lines. So they're doing that. And Portia's, never done something like this before. And Phaedra's like, this is something that we should do every now and then and once a year. I'm like, okay. I can understand that. I'm sorry. But it just seemed odd. The machine that they had when you sit down on your back and it's almost like you're giving birth and shit. I don't know. It was weird. But they pretty much would just to distract themselves from what was going on because Porsha felt a little uncomfortable. They're talking about, things that were said about Duke at the little gathering or whatever. She said that she felt some sort of a way because of what was said and some of the things that Candy said about bringing up the whole transgender thing. And of course that, enables Phaedra to, chime in and say, well, we had a discussion the other day, and she's like, well, how would you feel if, your husband, or if I was keeping your ex-husband's stuff at my house? And Porsha was like, well, I would feel betrayed, and this, that, and the fourth. And at the same time, while they're having a conversation, Candy says the same conversation with Todd. And when they brought up the whole thing about the space, it was like Apollo asked Todd if he could leave, keep that stuff at, her place. It wasn't about Candy giving the, okay. It was, Todd and Apollo's situation. So Candy really had nothing to do with it. And even if it was, I can't feel like I would really feel some sort of way about if a friend of mine is holding my ex's stuff at their house. Like, especially if it's their husband's stuff. It's not my friend. It's my friend's husband's stuff. Keeping this stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily see what the whole big deal was. And she was saying, she's bigger than that. I'm like, it wasn't really a secret. Even if she's holding the stuff, like, what does that mean? Like, I don't know. That whole situation, I just didn't understand what the whole issue was with, not Cynthia, but Phaedra. But speaking of Cynthia, is trying to get this home tutor, right, for her daughter, because her daughter wants to sing and act, and so she gets the ability to do home tutoring or homeschooling. I'm like, okay, shit, I wish I had that option. Hell, I would have done that damn shit too. But people who are homeschooled, they don't really have like the best social skills. But so, I like the path that I want. I think I turned out pretty damn good. But she trying to her baby daddy come over now. I'm not sure, but is this the same man who played David Ruffin in the Temptation movie? Because he looks awfully familiar. He looks very, very familiar. I'm trying to see, is that him or is that somebody else that I'm thinking of? I don't know. Y'all let me know in the comments. But the tutor that she's supposed to be interviewing finally comes over. Did y'all see that man? That was pure trade. That man had the long hair. He had the nice teeth. He was a nice little tenderoni at the age of 26. Well, we the same age. But still, it was like, oh, okay. And she's like, she's worried about he gonna be a distraction to her daughter. I'm like, ain't your daughter like 15? I would feel uncomfortable about that too. Wait. Am I? There you go. I don't know what that was. But she was like, oh, that's not going to be a good idea and whatnot. And so they start getting onto the topic of Peter. And oddly enough, I don't know if I want to say oddly, but it's just uncommon, I guess I'll say, for somebody who you have a child with, who you used to be in a relationship with, are giving you advice on trying to make your current relationship work. Because, you know, a lot of people think they would be kind of messy or they would want to see the other person fail or something like that. But I guess it's depending on what the relationship is now between you and this person and just where you are in life. Like sometimes you can really be friends with, you know, somebody that you were in an intimate relationship with, or maybe even in their case have a child with, and then if they move on to a different relationship, you can, you know, be supportive of that. It happens. It just happened here. So let's see, where are we moving on to? We move on to Porsha and at this sporting event. Hold on one second. And I don't know if she's running in a triathlon or what have you, but she's participating in this little sports event. And while she's stretching and whatnot, did y'all see that it was Blue from the Bad Girls Club? It was season 12 out there with some little boy. I'm like, what the fuck is? Since when did Blue live? Does Blue always live in Atlanta? Did I forget that? Shit, I don't know. But I was like, oh, okay, well that's interesting. So she's running back and forth. The Candy comes and supports. And so they have a conversation about, you know, what was said about Duke. And she kind of said, like, I feel a little bit of a way about what y'all was talking about. But, you know, it's like how when you was dating Ty. Like, didn't this how you felt when you first started dating Ty? And she was like, well, the difference is, you know, I had friends who knew Ty. So I can kind of ask him, like, you know, hey, what's the background on this dude? You know, but as far as Duke, you know, have a history of not really looking that far into these men before you start dating them, you know. So I was like, shit, I told you, in these housewife situations, I'll be Candy. Me and Candy think just to like with common damn sense. Kenya and Marlo look at this place for Kenya to hold this hair care line launch party. Do y'all hear these little hoodlums out here in this? Anyways, she's trying to think of this whole hair care line. She's getting her place set up and whatnot. And they want to talk about, you know, the whole situation that happened with Sheree. And I'm just like, okay, you threw shade, and that's just what it was. It really wasn't much to it. You saw the opportunity and you took it, bitch. Let's see, where are we? Because, I mean, this episode wasn't bad, but it wasn't necessarily all that good either. It was kind of like a filler, so to speak. Because we see Cynthia's, you know, having all these issues with Peter. You see her, you know, trying to call him. She says she hasn't heard from him in like a week at this point, or 8, 9, or 10 days. I'm like, god damn, shit. If that's the case, shit, don't even bother. By then, the locks would have been changed, bitch, okay? If you can't even bother to contact me, and we supposed to be a husband and wife, and you can't even bother to send me a text for 10 days, and not only just that, but you just left. It ain't like we, you know, able to talk and say goodbye and then you left, but you just left and they tell nobody and you gone for 10 days, the locks will be changed. You're no longer welcome here. Your shit will be in the backyard and you get served some papers at your job the next damn day. No, don't listen to me. That's a horrible thing. But no, you probably wouldn't be getting back in the house right away. I'll tell you that much. But we move on to, we'll get back to Cynthia at the end. But Kim is being invited to, you know, come out to Kenya's event. And her husband talks about how she doesn't have any friends. She says she's not really like the go out, hang out, girls night type chick. I'm like, I mean, I guess not everybody is into that, but I mean, you gotta have fun one way or another, right? You know what I'm saying? But let's see. Her husband, they're both so excited just to not have to worry about the goddamn kids no more. No car seats, no nothing. So they didn't even know how to act. So they get to this event. And one of Porsha's friends was trying to, you know, I guess smell the product or the conditioner that Kenya's supposed to be selling. And she said, that shit smell like water. And I'm just like, oh, okay. So she actually drank the shit. And I'm like, did she pretend to drink the shit? Or did she really drink the shit? Because it went up to her mouth, but she could have just been playing. You know, I'm just like, bitch, you would be stupid. Even if it smelled like water, you don't know what the fuck is in that. So I'm like, okay, well, girl, if you have a death wish, make sure I'm in your will, honey. I'm just saying, because you look like you got some money. But Candy comes in, you know, she tries to be supportive. And the first thing they be noticing, like, look, bitch, it's hot. And that was one of the things that Kenya was worried about. She was like, I want to be freezing cold in here because one thing that I don't want them to do is be hot in my event. Well, lo and behold, the shit's still hot. The shit still came out to be hot. And Porsha, when Sheree comes in, Porsha said, oh, look, it's She by She-Hulk. When that bitch said She by She-Hulk, girl, I almost fell out. Because y'all know Sheree is good for having the veins up here in the neck area and just talking a whole lot of shit. So I thought that shit was kind of funny. What? Oh, excuse me. So Kenya leaves out. And then she has this little date, a little arm candy. I'm like, oh, okay, is this going to be the imaginary man you're going to have this season? We'll see. But he's like, you can't just leave. You can't be, out there. Or you can't be out here and all your guests are in there to see you and all this stuff. So she goes back in. And so she wants to pull, she says hello to everybody. And then, says, hey to Sheree. That kind of, hey, bitch. That whole type deal. And she wants to pull Sheree to the side. And basically, they try to mash or, put aside their differences and put down the beef or mash the beef. Just get on cordial terms, so to speak. So I'm just like, oh, okay. We'll see how long this lasts. But we know this is going to be a temporary fix. They're going to be back at it in the next 2 episodes. So I ain't worried. But so they're all cool and then everything. Okay, everything is all good and synergetic. Now we get to the last scene with Peter and what's his name? Oops. Peter and what's his name, child? I should say Cynthia and what's her name. But anyway, Cynthia and Peter. He gets home and she's just like, oh, you're back? He's like, yeah. She's like, oh. Like, what are we supposed to say? Like, motherfucker, you've been gone for 10 days and you ain't even acknowledged my ass? Oh, okay. But they get into this, pretty much this conversation I think a lot of couples have at least once. And especially if they've been together for a number of years. It's like, for some reason you feel disconnected, you feel unhappy, and you feel like the other person isn't showing love. And Peter asked, when did you stop loving me? And she said, I don't know. So that kind of, excuse me, ratchet. That kind of confirms, like, okay, she doesn't really, at least right now, she doesn't feel like she's in love with him. Which I guess you can fall out of love. But he started to say, I never stopped loving you. And he kept on saying, he kept doing what I hate when people do. Like, he kept saying, it's not my fault, it's not my fault. When Cynthia never said, it's your fault. She's just saying what's happening. She's not saying that you're the sole to blame, but she's just saying what's happening. But he keeps trying to take it in a defensive way and saying that, oh, it's my fault, it's my fault. That's not what she was saying. But she's just like, look, you know what? We're going to try this one more time because my baby daddy said so. So we're going to try this one more time. And I want to have like an agreement that if we really put our effort and energy into this relationship, and at the end of the day, it does not work out, we just call it a wrap. We just call it a wrap. Because that's just what divorce is for. He tried to say, I'm not really into that. I don't really want to hear that word. But I mean, it is kind of a reality. Like, there's no need to just stay in something if you've really given it a good, honest try and the shit just doesn't work. Yeah, that's why they have a divorce. But that was pretty much the episode, y'all. It was an okay episode. I think I just kind of went over the basic parts of the episode, but it was really good. So I'm looking forward to next week, because I think next week is when Cynthia kicks Porsha in the stomach that we saw that alleged report about. So that should be interesting. But anywho, y'all, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.
Like, share, subscribe. Washington.